Want to connect with the world? Ready to be heard by millions? Have a talent you are ready to share, or want to elevate your business to the next level? Step into the spotlight. Welcome to our all-new podcast studio at Bitcoin Ben's Crypto Club, Sarasota. Introducing a cutting-edge creative space built for everyone, from first-timers to seasoned pros. Outfitted with state-of-the-art cameras, broadcast-quality microphones, professional mixers, and premium acoustic treatment, this is where your voice isn't just heard, it's felt. Whether you're recording a podcast, live streaming, or creating high-impact video content, our studio delivers next-level production value. Lights on, mic hot, let's go.
Oh, the truth is like a sword. Take your authority, no longer silent majority. For life and death are in the tongue. The scripture says that's where it's won or lost. So whatever the cost, I will rejoice. Tell the truth, there's a warrior within you. The rock of ages cannot be moved. So raise your voice, oh my soul. The devil seeks to destroy the innocent girls and boys. So we can't afford to be the silent majority anymore. What else is freedom for? Oh, the day is growing dim. The time to begin is here, piercing the darkness of all your fears. If lightning strikes 1,000,000 times over the enemy lines like shooting stars, then the battle is ours. Oh, rejoice, tell the truth. There's a warrior within you, the rock of ages. He cannot be moved. So raise your voice, oh my soul. The devil seeks to destroy the innocent girls and boys. So we can't afford to be that silent majority anymore. What else is freedom for? What else is freedom for? Calling all ye leaders, I'm calling all believers, knowing the truth will set us free. This is the great awakening. Oh, rejoice, tell the truth. There's a warrior within you, the rock of ages. He cannot be moved. So raise your voice, oh my soul. The devil seeks to destroy the innocent girls and boys. So we can't afford to be that silent majority anymore. What else is freedom for? What else is freedom for? Thank you. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Women's Voices. I am Clara Bose, and we were having just a little bit of a difficulty getting my track ready today, and Zoltan said, why don't you just sing it a cappella? That would be so cool. And I said, you know what? It's all about the words anyway, so I'm really glad that I had that chance to just share from my heart just with a solo lyric so that you guys could really hear my heart. I wrote that song for the General Flynn documentary. And of course, everything that I do ever since I heard about the child trafficking and the way that that's politically really being ignored in our government and in our world today, I said, the rest of my life is dedicated to abolishing that industry from this world. So at the heart of that song, that's what it's about. And today I'm going to bring on the woman who opened my eyes and told me the truth about the world and the illusion that I had been living in. And I'm so grateful to her for that and for her courage to just, be thought of as crazy before everybody was starting to talk about these things mainstream. She was learning, she was digging, spending 5 hours a day at the very least. Many days during COVID, she was spending 12, 13 hours a day. Just digging and learning and finding the truth. And she is gracious enough to give us time again today and to share a lot of things that we've been learning about. Let's bring on Kim and say hello. Where's my girl? There's my beauty.
Hi.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good to see you, beautiful one. Today, our topic is called Conspiracy Theories Ringing True. And when something sounds crazy the first time, that doesn't mean that it's not actually true. And sometimes in your spirit, you're able to hear something like, you know what? I can't logically receive that right now, but in my spirit, I'm feeling that I need to stay open to that. And that's kind of where I was when I first started talking to Kim and learning about these atrocities, especially with the children. And here we are. And she just sent me this clip today. We're going to start off with the clip from RFK Jr., who is on mainstream. Can you believe that?
Finally.
So we're going to finally, right? Yeah, we've been waiting for this day. So let's roll that clip and then we'll get your thoughts on that, Kim.
The Biden administration lost track of all those children is because they were emphasizing speed over security. And there were political reasons for that. They wanted to get the kids out of U.S. custody, so they were handing them off to anybody. They didn't require background checks. They didn't require identification even. I've watched horror stories of the same person picking up child after child after child, using different names and different addresses. One of the addresses was a strip club. One of the addresses was a parking lot. One of the addresses was an empty lot that was filled with shipping containers. And this character was getting all these kids. One person got 42 kids to one address. What we're doing now is DNA testing on every sponsor. We're doing personal identification. We're doing background checks. And we're doing income verification.
Thank you, Mr.
Kim, can you give us your thoughts on that?
It just makes me so happy that they're finally starting to talk about this mainstream. It's stuff that imagine how many years I've been awake and just knowing that you feel helpless, that there's nothing that you can do. There's been plenty of pictures on the internet showing up from abandoned parts, like lots, and these kids are writing in the ground. So somebody flying up above, it'll say, please help or call for help. And some of them didn't speak English because it says traffico. So they're writing in the dirt. We'll rescue them and help them. There's been a lot of viral videos talking about these guys that work at these shipping container yards that hear screams and crying from these shipping containers.
Oh my.
And they usually get taken down. As soon as they hit the internet, especially when they go viral, they get taken down.
Yes. And you really do have to, do your own research. Twitter helped so much. And that when Elon Musk bought Twitter, that made a huge difference for the truth to finally start being able to be circulated. and kept up.
Yeah, because the internet is all controlled, and Facebook is controlled, Instagram's controlled, and Twitter was before until Elon bought it. And now you can see more of the truth being exposed on there.
Yes, exactly. And we have another clip that I'm going to go ahead and just bring forth. That way we can just talk about all that we want to bring out today. This is a clip of a man who is a former CIA director, and he is no longer with us. Okay, he died in, I believe, 2021, right post COVID. Okay, but I was able to find this clip due to following a little rabbit hole that Kim sent me the other day, and I thought that it was very important to share. So, Zoltan, can you run that second clip for me of David Steele? Thank you.
Listen carefully. Former CIA agent says children are being bred and sold in the USA.
We have people in the United States of America that breed children in order to sell them. And when they are sold, they come without birth certificates, which means it's easier to kill them and have no one ask where they are. We're also importing children by the plane load. Again, children who have no documentation. It's not just child slavery or child sex abuse. It's also child torture, because you have adrenalized blood. You have the whole blood drinking ceremony of the satanic world. It's also the use of children for harvesting body organs. And then you have ritual ceremonies and ritual murder, as well as incidental murder. Most organizations that end up being used to prey on children, Oxfam is a recent example, all of the United Nations organizations, the Boy Scouts of America, all of the child services agencies across the United States of America, they did not start out as organizations to prey on children, but they attract pedophiles. And ultimately, pedophiles end up rising in the ranks and controlling those organizations, so that an organization that initially started out in the service of children becomes an organization that is in fact hunting children.
I know when I showed this clip to my mom earlier today, she was like horrified, of course. I don't think she knows about the details of adrenochrome. I haven't been able to bring myself to tell her about it. I can't hardly think about it myself. But if this sounds too far to anybody watching right now, trust me, I know how you feel. It sounds ridiculous. If you look this guy up on Wikipedia, you're going to see, you know, that he's a quack and all of these kinds of things, of course, because Wikipedia always, when someone's onto something true, the first line about them is that they are a debunked conspiracy theorist, okay? So, you know, if you're looking at things like fact checkers, you know, you guys, those things are all bought up to program you to believe what they want you to think, okay? Kim has been spending years digging on these things. I have spent years digging on these things, and I have also seen people who have gotten out of being trafficked. Laura Logan did a big conference here in Florida with General Flynn, where they were talking about stories of people that they personally have rescued. And these people are saying, "What took you so long?" And that just broke my heart when I heard that. And I'll tell you what took you so long is people not believing, people not wanting to hear it, and the media completely being silent about the biggest issue in our world today, in my opinion, of course, is the safety of children and women everywhere who are being sold. So what are your thoughts on that, Kim?
Well, the depth of this evil, most of us that are normal, good, hardworking people, we can't fathom. And like you said, my mom had the same reaction. She just thinks I'm crazy. She's like, I don't know where you're reading this stuff. I don't know where you get this stuff from. I'm like, Mom, do you think I enjoy talking about this stuff? Do you think this is my favorite thing to talk about? No, it's a fact that we all have to acknowledge, and it's going to take the collective consciousness of this planet to save these children. Thank God for Trump and his administration, because they stand by ending all of this trafficking. You know, that's the first president that's ever spoke out about it and then put his people to work. And since he's been in, they've found so many trafficking rings. It's been crazy, right under everybody's noses too.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I just want to encourage everyone watching and, please share this message, not for my sake, not for Kim's sake. We could care less about how many people see our faces in this world. Neither of us are interested in fame. We just want people to know the truth, and especially so that each person in this world can be security, can be guardians. Because I know when I travel, I just went to El Salvador last week. Anywhere I go, I'm always on the lookout for anything which looks suspicious. If there's a person that looks like maybe they're with a child and what are they doing with that child, I'm going to be on alert and just, kind of check in with the kids, see if they look happy, see if they look like they're in a good place. If all of us can start taking up a position of being the guardians of the children, that's step one.
Well, like they were saying, they are not even vetting these people that are moving these children. And the one guy took 42 kids. Nobody questioned that. How did this guy take 42 kids and take them to a secure location? And nobody along the way noticed anything weird about that? It's crazy. Some of these celebrities that have, promoted orphanages, Oprah being the biggest one in other countries, it's a fact that, a woman that was working with Hillary Clinton was going to these orphanages, especially down in Haiti, and she got caught trying to smuggle all these kids back. I think she went away. She did some time. Clinton washed her hands of it and blew it off, acted like she didn't know who she was. The story disappeared magically. And then when the woman got out, she runs Amber Alert now.
Oh my.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh no.
All of these people, all of these friends, they're all in positions of power. And even though that she got busted, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I'll find the clip and I'll send it to you. You can dig on her name. You can read about the whole story. And then when you kind of follow the money or follow the connections, they're all friends of each other, and they put them.
Whoop. We've lost Kim. Oh, okay. Guys, don't you worry. Oh, hold on. She's coming back.
Sorry.
No,
what happened. That's the thing. When you start digging, people that kind of say no or just don't want to hear it, they've never looked. It takes you 5 to 10 minutes. As soon as you start digging, you'll run across 10 other things you're interested in knowing what's behind that. And people just need to take the time. I do it, I used to do it all the time, but now I just do it when I go to sleep. I'll spend 3, sometimes 4 hours when I get into bed to catch up and start digging, because you look at one thing and it's going to lead you to 10 more.
Yes, exactly. And all of the organizations that you just are using every single day, you would be amazed how many people at the high levels of these organizations are in on it, are either covering it up or allowing actual trafficking to go through their own organizations. And it happens literally, like you're saying, right underneath our nose. So the first thing that we can start is just getting informed and starting to just be those eyes and ears in our own communities, and tell your friends. I started talking to some of my friends about it, and it was hard for them, to believe me at first. And then multiple other sources. For instance, one of my friends, she had some local cops who were talking to some of her family members about what's going on right here in our community. And so then she was like, wow, maybe Clara actually knows what she's talking about when it comes to trafficking right here in our community, because she started hearing it from multiple sources. So as you just open your minds and start to find out about what's going on, God will lead and guide you to the truth and in the right time for you. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break while we bring Kim back on. But when she comes back, we're going to talk about some more of these organizations, including Hollywood and Walmart and other places that will really blow your minds to see the level and the depth of the involvement in the world today. So we're going to be right back after this break.
Hey, how's everyone doing? It's your favorite truck driver in the whole wide world, it's Bitcoin Ben, here to let you know about our latest club that you personally can invest in and own a piece of. That's our club at Mar-a-Lago. And yes, I did say Mar-a-Lago. You, as an individual, can own shares 1% up to 4% of that club. And it's only $12,500 per 1%. Now, what that entitles you to is, as the club is profitable, and folks, the club is literally right down the road from Mar-a-Lago. So give us a call or send us a text at 941-391-3882. Give us a call, send us a text. And what we can do is set you up with our owner's call every week. And that owner's call will allow you to figure out whether or not you want to own part of the club. So if you want on the owner's call the inside information, give us a call, 941-391-3882. The number is scrolling right across here, 941-391-3882. Give us a call now and learn how you can own a share of the club at Mar-a-Lago.
All right, you guys, and we are back here at Women's Voices with Kim Couture. She seems to be having a little bit of technical difficulties right now. She's not, she just disappeared, so we'll have to wait for her to come back. You know what? I apologize for that, but I know she'll be back at the perfect time. But, right now I just want to share with you that I have met people here in Florida. We are in Sarasota right now, and Sarasota is one of America's top cities for child trafficking. So if you are here in this area, don't think that this is not something that you need to be keeping your eyes out for right here in our community. If you see something, please don't hesitate to try in every way that you can to protect that child. Call your local authorities, talk if you can with that child and see if you can keep them in a safe place and from not having to go off with their so-called, guardian. I really feel that one of the greatest things that we can all do is just be on alert as people, because if in this world, if everyone started to be the eyes and the ears and the hands and the feet of God and watching for these issues, I'm sure that we could protect a lot more children. So I just ask you guys if you'll be able to just, take that role on yourself, and especially when you're traveling, airports, all of those kinds of things. So we want to do everything that we can to help the kids. And let's see, I think she's just popping back on right now. I'm so glad. Here comes Kim. Hey, sweetie pie. Hey, here you are.
Sorry about that. I kept trying to get back on.
No problem. It was perfect timing. So, yes, let's just continue. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we were mentioning with Hollywood, and how does this infiltrate into the systems in place in Hollywood? It seems like now that I know about it, I see a lot of subconscious messages. For instance, I'll just give you an example. After I learned about this, I watched Despicable Me, and I thought, oh my gosh, the first time I saw this, I never noticed, but the whole thing is about orphans, these little girls, and then Despicable Me, this big man who comes and takes them, and then he has all these minions, right? And the whole thing just felt completely different to me once I knew about, the powers that be who are actually harming children. And I noticed in the beginning of it, when they're showing the orphanage, there was like print that was written on the orphanage that was like matching up with things that I had heard about happening in the real world. So they were literally like laughing about this in their movie. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, everything. that they put in movies is based on something. You know, it's kind of the universal law that they believe in their cult or their religion. They believe that if they tell people the truth, that they stop any bad karma from coming on them. So they tell all these stories through innocent things like Disney, or, you know, you're in the theater, nobody's going to stand up and go, oh my gosh, we can't let this happen. You know, it's just a movie, it's just entertainment. People can't fathom that this stuff would be real. And I think I sent you a story on where the minions came from. Did you see that?
Yeah, I didn't have that much time because I was on my way here to the club, so I wasn't able to see the whole thing. Tell us about it.
So in Nazi Germany, they had these little helmets that they would put on all these orphans, and it made them look like the minions. You know, one has like the one here, and they have little goggles on. It's the exact same. There, you know, if you Google it, it says it's a conspiracy. It was debunked. Well, you can look at the pictures for yourself and tell me that those kids, those orphans with those helmets on, don't look like minions. And what they would
And
do,
they were laughing. I saw a little bit of it. They were laughing about like the way that they talk, because they were saying these were the little Jewish kids. And so the Germans were laughing at the way that they were talking because they spoke a different language.
and they couldn't understand them, so they were mocking them. And they would attach different things to these helmets for experimental reasons, and they would die. You know, they were blowing different kinds of chemicals in there, you know, to mustard gas, all this kind of stuff to see what would work. And this is how they experimented to see what weapons they were going to take into war with them.
And the responsibility, what they feel spiritually, because this is spiritual to them, because they're actually doing these things to serve their dark lord, their dark master. So they feel that the responsibility is now on us. We're the evil ones because we're sitting here ingesting this. And so you're the one that has the appetite for it. So you're the one with the problem as the audience member. So they think that we are, you know, basically the ones with the sick minds.
Yeah, and think of all of the merchandising that goes along with this. So then all the kids are wearing the t-shirts, the clothes, the pajamas, all the toys. So your money is supporting something that is so dark and so evil. And I told you it was the same thing for the Cabbage Patch dolls. You know, those were orphans that they were growing in, you know, laboratories. They had no parents. They had no birth certificate. They were selling them across the nation, across the world, actually. And they were on orphan trains, and they called them Cabbage Patch Kids. So what do? They go make dolls called Cabbage Patch Kids. And then we look like we're in support of their dark, evil agenda. And that's how that works. And they think it clears them of their bad karma.
Right. So they sort of can wash their hands of it and say, hey, you're the one that's funding all of this. You want this. You're asking for this. You're the ones that have the appetites for it. And once your eyes are open to this, I mean, you may not want to watch anything from Hollywood anymore. That's kind of what happened to me over time. But I was still watching a few things, and I was amazed at how many things, like, for instance, our family still watches Bolt, but I always fast forward through this one part of Bolt. It's such a darling movie. It's about, you know, it's about a dog going home, and it's got this great song that our family loves. You know, there is no home like the one you've got, because that home belongs to you. It's like the sweetest thing, right? Well, there's this scene that I always fast forward, and my kids, they don't know why, but it's because they're using these subliminal messages within this scene. You wouldn't know it, but they're talking about, like, the guy says like something about like riding a baseball glove. And then right behind him, as he's telling the story about, like, when I was a kid, I used to pretend that this glove was a bike and I rode it every day. It's like, okay, that sounded kind of sick and twisted, right? And then behind him, there's a big picture of like an explosion. So clearly it's like a masturbation reference, which is being put right in the middle of a kid's movie. Now, when you're just watching that, like, as an innocent mind, you might not notice that. You'd be like, okay, that's sort of a weird story that guy's telling. But anyway, back to the movie. But once you know that they're actually putting sexual things in children's movies because they're pedophiles, now you're just like, oh my gosh, it's like there anything safe to watch anymore.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen any of those clips where the guys go out on the street and they just talk to people. You know, they'll be at the beach or they'll be in downtown New York, and they just start talking to people, and they'll bring, questions about this stuff up to them. Do you think that this, disgusting book or this movie should be allowed to be shown to children? And you'd be shocked to see how many people say, yes, I believe kids in kindergarten should be shown how to masturbate. And of course, we shouldn't hide any of these things from them. So it's the parents and the adults that are so brainwashed, and things have been normalized to them that they are allowing this to happen to children.
What? You're right. You're right. Because I have seen some things like that. And I am shocked. I mean, look at the things which have gotten already into kids' curriculums. Like, how does that happen? It happens because people have been slowly brainwashed. We were talking about earlier when we were on the phone together. It's like, let's just talk about abortion for a minute. I mean, I remember when I was like 21 years old and I was taking this yoga class, and my yoga teacher, this is the first I heard anything about this, she said, be aware, look at the things that are in your makeup. And I was like, okay, like I'd never even thought about looking at the ingredients. Like I just needed to know if it was oil free, okay, so I don't break out. She's like, look at the ingredients. She's like, if you actually do some research on that, you'll find that a lot of your makeup has aborted baby parts in it. And I was like, okay, like that can't be true. And over the course of my life, now it doesn't sound so crazy anymore. And I'm looking at this industry of abortion, which has been so heavily pushed. And you see women who are, fighting for their women's rights, and it's just been called women's rights. But, like I was saying earlier, I can understand women being upset about oppression that has happened generationally. Women have been oppressed, have been held back, have been kept down. I'm Women's Voices. I'm here to promote the voices of women that maybe have been suppressed. I understand being angry about that, but don't let your anger pull you into these agendas, which are absolutely disgusting. I mean, the reason why they're pushing abortion, and that they have been pushing abortion, is for the selling of body parts of babies. It's a huge moneymaker, not just the abortions themselves, the actual parts of the babies.
Yeah, and I mentioned it to you before. Who's buying these baby parts? And when you think about it, you dig into it, it's makeup, it's skincare, it's food companies. Anything that says natural flavoring or natural flavors is aborted baby cells or baby parts. So, of course, they put a little innocent name and label it that. But if you don't look into what does natural flavoring mean, there's some other ones. I'm trying to think of what the other ones are now. But they find these nice little innocent names to put on the ingredients list, knowing that people aren't going to take the time to look into it. And, who's buying all these baby parts? Why are they pushing this? Not to mention serve a God that we do. So their agenda is to hurt our God, the one and only. And they want to harm the children. Everything is about the children. They are the most innocent ones. They haven't been corrupted yet. And they want to get them when their innocence is still there.
They sure do. And they bring so much joy. I mean, when I became a mom, it completely changed my life, and it just lined me right back up with my morals, with my, my inner compass of following God. Because when you're a parent and you have this beautiful, innocent being in your responsibility, you make a choice really quick about what do you believe, because you're going to be training up that child in one way or another. And you're going to be choosing, are you going to put them in front of this movie? Or are you going to let them play this game? Or are you going to tell them that there is a God and that there are angels? What in the world do you really believe? Because you got to come up with it right now, because they are your responsibility. So, I mean, when you're following the path of God, you will immediately start to align with morality as a parent, because you have to get very clear about what you believe is right and wrong. And so, of course, they want to brainwash the children, because the children are bringing us all back to God.
Right. And like I said, years ago, when I started digging in on this stuff, the more you dig, the more it becomes about God. And these are not ancient stories of the Bible. The people back then that were sacrificing children to Moloch and worshiping Baal and doing all this crazy stuff, they never went away. They just like we passed down our generation to our generations, they were passing all this stuff down. It never changed. They just got more secretive. Hence the secret societies. Everything became more secretive, and they just got very clever. These people are very evil, And they do a brilliant job of putting everybody under a spell and just tricking us into supporting their evil agenda. And we have no idea. Most people have no idea what they're actually
Yes.
doing. When everybody
Yes.
does, they're shown the truth and people find out who they've supported and what they've supported, it's going to hit everybody like a ton of bricks. And it's going to take the rest of us that were called conspiracy theorists to be there, not to say I told you so, but to be there to support them, because their whole world is going to shatter.
Absolutely. And, I started thinking about it in terms of, let's just look at Hollywood, for instance, because that's been one of the big mind control experiments, is how they can program us all to believe what they want us to believe. They wanted us to think that James Bond is what the CIA was. They wanted us to think that it was like this big, heroic, good guy kind of a company. They wanted us to think that actors, like the big dream that every person should have is to go to Hollywood and be a star. Every single thing promotes these ideas. Now, why in the world would being an actor be such a celebrated thing in our world? They could have chosen any profession. They could have glorified doctors. They could have glorified pastors. They could have glorified, choir directors. But no. They're going to glorify themselves. And the big dream that every person has in a movie is going to Hollywood and being a big star. And so they have spent this time glorifying themselves. And I thought to myself once, why do we all listen to actors and care what they think? They're in our magazines and everybody wants to look like an actor. And I said to myself, they're professional pretenders.
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to professional pretenders. That is their gift, is basically lying to people and pulling them into, a manipulative story. I'm not saying that there's not a place for acting in the world. I think storytelling is powerful. I'm a musician. Of course, there's a good way of acting and presenting a case. But why in the world do we uphold the views and the personalities of people who pretend for a living? Because we've been programmed to.
The past years or so, and how much they've been pushing these celebrity opinions. Like, if you love an actor, you just want to see him act. You don't really care about his, political opinions of things. And you have all these athletes and you have all these celebrities with these crazy opinions. And, what's her name? Taylor Swift, that's everywhere, and her boyfriend. They're pushing the vaccines. They're pushing everything that's bad. They're pushing all this stuff because they're like, oh, who's the most popular and hot, musician right now? Let's get them to back this, and let's get them to back this other agenda, because all of her little people are going to follow her. So
yes. And you know what? It's interesting because so many people are finding out now about the Illuminati, about the secret societies, that being a songwriter that I am, I even got an ad that came to my phone, which said, like, do you want your music to be heard by more people? Maybe you've been afraid that if you want to become famous or popular, that you have to join the Illuminati. It was literally in a commercial that came up. And so they were kind of joking about it. But these are the ways that, they desensitize us to these things. And you guys just don't be fooled by it, okay? Trust me, they know how to get into your heads. They know how to laugh about things and try and get you to write it off. But we're talking about kids. We're talking about people who are hurting kids and literally torturing them. I don't really want to go into it right now. We will do a show where I'll say something about, like, this is going to be explicit content. But this is no laughing matter. This is nothing to joke about or to just write off as a lie or a conspiracy theory. And when you go and you look at something on Wikipedia and the first sentence that it has is, this is a debunked conspiracy theory, you might be onto something, because they are doing everything they can to just try and pretend like this is a big fat nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that's all controlled information. And even the news on both sides, it's all controlled. So
why isn't every news channel talking about human trafficking on a daily basis? And where are the kids? And how many have we found? And let's find the follow-up stories. Why isn't anybody talking about this?
Yeah, it's all controlled information. And when you look at who the parent companies are to all of these, Disney actually has made its way up to the top, where they're behind a lot of these channels. They own so many things underneath their parent company that you wouldn't even be aware of unless you dig. And these companies at the very top, they're controlling all this information. They're controlling all our food, and they're all working together. It's a brilliant plan if you're evil. It's like the evil plan to take over the world, and it's working. And they laugh because they think we're idiots, and
Yep.
fallen for all of their tricks. And it's just been really easy for them up until now. It's the Great Awakening. So
It is. And I was in church, a really small church here in Sarasota, and I was really proud of the pastor. He was talking about some of this stuff, and he said, "You guys, we need to wake up because we're losing this battle." And his point is that the churches have become woke. The churches, the pastors, they don't want to talk about these things, and they don't want to say that something is a sin that is clearly a sin. It's not in the design of God, and they just want to be liked. And so, my pastor was just saying, we're losing this battle, and we really need to not only wake up as Christians, but we have to speak up.
Yeah, there's all that whole woke thing for the last several years has just really look at all the companies, look at the Olympics, look at, they've infiltrated every facet of life. You can't watch a movie these days without seeing, two men making out and, pushing, all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm an adult and I'm like, oh, I got to turn it off right away because I'm like, why are they spreading this filth? And it's just normal. It's just people say, the way it is today. Well, that's not a good enough excuse.
Exactly. And especially when you know that there are actual agendas behind pushing those, these sins in our culture and normalizing them. They're harming kids behind the scenes with those behaviors. People have to do rituals in the satanic movement, which are, for instance, like a homosexual behavior. They have to do that to get into certain levels of their societies. That's a part of their initiation. And so, of course, they want that to be normal in this world. So that's just like no big deal because they get power off of that from their spirit world.
And I think I told you on the last show, there's so many different secret societies. They're all different. Some of them worship different demons. And they have their own calendar that they abide by, like you're saying. So that's the way that they can cover the whole world and everything in it. They've literally infiltrated every facet of life, if you think about it.
Including the religions, and just don't be afraid to find a church that isn't afraid, to stand up for what's right. Don't be afraid to get a church, body together, even if it's just a small home group. Get your people together because the church will eventually save this country because we have to combat this. This is a spiritual battle. So we need to rise up our righteousness. We need to pray and fast and be wholesome and be clean as best as we can to combat this is the spiritual war that we're in.
Yes. And a lot of people fatigue, their bodies are feeling weird, they're really, really tired. People are wondering like, gosh, even if I got 10 hours of sleep, I'm just so fatigued, I'm so tired during the day. It's a lot of negativity and there's a lot going on in the world, but it's also these 5G towers that they've put on every corner of every block. During 2020, when everybody was locked down, they were up putting these so-called 5G towers everywhere. They really have absolutely nothing to do with your phones, guys. They're for sending out frequency. So as everybody was out getting their vaccines, there's stuff in those vaccines that react to different frequencies, like hundreds of different things. And in order to unlock them in your body, they set off a different frequency. Well, the main frequency that they keep going is the equivalent of sticking us all in the microwave and microwaving us.
Wow.
So you're dizzy, having trouble seeing, you're not getting sleep, you can't fall asleep, or you get plenty of sleep and you're still tired. These are the things that are going on behind the scenes, and they're not talked about either. But if you look in other countries like New Zealand, they started going around and tearing those things down. Collectively as a community, when they found out and they spread the truth quickly, it's another island, they're all together and they go and they started tearing them all down. I think they started to do them somewhere in Europe as well. But over here in America, in Las Vegas, people drive by them every 5 seconds. There's one on every corner. Nobody thinks anything of it. Everybody just thinks it has to do with their new 5G phone.
Wow.
Deceive people.
Absolutely. And just, remember everyone, the source, God is within each and every one of us. We have been given so much power inside of ourselves, which is why I love to encourage you all to meditate. Meditation changed my life, and it will help you to, clear out those unhealthy frequencies inside of your mind, inside of your body. Just sitting within your own self and just clearing your mind, taking deep breaths, connecting with your God source within yourself, Christ light within yourself. You have more power inside of you to fight all of this than you know. But if you're just constantly looking at your phone or just watching these shows or getting like obsessed, like sometimes it's hard not to get like addicted to even learning. And you have to just say, you know what? This is not good for my spirit anymore. I have enough knowledge. We got to balance knowledge and wisdom. And the wisdom of God is a still small voice. It's beautiful. It's joy. If you're not feeling joy anymore, if you're starting to feel depressed, okay, we got enough knowledge. Let's go over to wisdom and plug into yourself, because that is what they want to try and take from us, is the knowledge of that inner light, which is within each of us. So don't forget, take your time to unplug, be in nature, clear your mind, sit in your closet in the dark and meditate with no sounds, with no more scrolling. I go into airplane mode. I don't know about you, but just to like clear out, some of that radiation.
Yeah, I sit outside. My mornings are very important to me, and I just sit outside. I have a lot of trees in the backyard, so I just listen to the birds, play with the dogs. I have chickens, and I leave my phone in the house. I just want it as far away from me as possible, because I am guilty of learning too much. I'll sit there all day and just keep digging and digging and digging. I'm like, okay, I got to come up for air, time to get outside. So now I've enforced in my own boundaries, timeouts. I put myself in timeout. I'm like, listen, I can't be addicted to this phone and this information. It's too much, and it's very frustrating when people aren't getting it yet. I feel like more and more are starting to ask the right questions. But it's been frustrating for several years. People just think you're crazy.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I've noticed for myself, because Kim and I have been on this path for so long, we can kind of help you guys to not fall for some of the mistakes that we made. One thing that you can really do to help fight this battle is take a screenshot of whatever you just came across that you feel in your spirit is like, man, I just wish more people knew this, and have the courage to put it on your Facebook or put it on your TikTok or your social media. And trust me, you're going to get blocks. You're going to get something inside of you that's like scared. Well, what if this isn't true and I look stupid? Or what if somebody comes and attacks me at my house? What if my kids aren't safe because I'm speaking the truth? These are all resistance that you're going to get, because this is a spiritual battle. This information is important that in order to end this evil. So trust me, you're going to get resistance inside yourself. It takes courage to speak out. Trust me. I mean, when I know that I'm going to come in here and I'm going to talk about human trafficking, I worry a little bit more about my kids. I worry a little bit more about where are they? Are they, safe? You're going to feel fear. Okay. But Kim, former MMA fighter, has taught me that when you push through something which makes you afraid, you actually heal old soul wounds, you heal old history, trauma from your childhood, and you move to another level spiritually. It's really amazing. And when you conquer those fears and you do something because it's right, but not just because it's going to benefit you in some way, it's amazing how much more of Christ's light will shine through you.
Well, and that's why more people need to be warriors for Christ. If you believe in God and you love Christ, then you become a warrior. Going to church once a week and, saying some prayers that day, that's not cutting it anymore. You need to be vigilant and you need to be aggressive. Look at how aggressive these pedophiles are. Look at how aggressive Hollywood is. Look at how aggressive they were during the lockdown. We need warriors right now. We don't need, once a week you go and do your, thing at church. We need people that are interactive and that are going to scream from the rooftops, because look at what they've been doing. They've been, screaming from the rooftops about all their weird stuff. And
they changed the world as a result. They normalized all of those behaviors in our world.
Yeah, we need to match the energy, unfortunately. And, you know, we got God behind us. So in the end, yes, we win. But we all need to wake up and play our part.
Yes, come on, everybody, join this beautiful tidal wave, which is bringing in the truth. We're changing the financial system. This is the Bitcoin community. I know you guys are on the front lines of freedom fighting. You're putting your money where your mouth is. Let's save the kids. Let's fight for truth. Let's save our world. And thank you, Kim Couture, for being with me today. I love you.
Love you too. Thank you.
All right, you guys, that's our show for today. I'll be back again next week with more awesome news from Women's Voices. Bye. Love you.
What's going on, everybody? It's your favorite truck driver, ex-truck driver in the whole wide world. It's Bitcoin Ben, here to invite you to our weekly Friday owners call. Now, what the owners call is it's a call that I and some of my associates actually do with our current and our prospective owners of our clubs, where we give you the information, answer the questions that you have on what's going on with your club you own right now, or what are the investment opportunities of owning a piece of the club. If you're interested in owning a share or a piece of our clubs, our resorts, our bank, our future airline we're launching, our decentralized private jet company, get on board, guys. Everyone's moving in to the decentralized economy. Join now, and at least join the owner's call. It's easy peasy. You get all the information you need. You can ask all the questions you want, and it's very simple. Give us a call or send us a text right now at 941-391-3882. It's right here. 941-391-3882. Love you guys, and I will see you guys later. Give us a call. Bye-bye.